The massive Starship appeared without warning in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning. It shimmered like liquid diamond, changing shape slightly as it moved. No radar had detected its approach. No telescope had spotted it coming. One moment Earth's skies were normal, and the next, the enormous vessel hung above the planet like a second moon. World leaders scrambled to respond. Military forces around the globe went on high alert, but their weapons seemed pointless against something so vast and advanced. News channels broadcast continuous coverage as people everywhere stopped their daily lives to stare upward. Ju-woo Park had been teaching her linguistics class when the university dean burst in with the news. As South Korea's foremost expert on theoretical alien communication, she was quickly summoned to the Emergency Response Center in Seoul. "Dr. Park, we need you immediately," the message read. "The vessel is broadcasting." The alien transmission played on every electronic device on Earth simultaneously, somehow translating into each listener's native language. "We come to reveal your purpose." Those 6 words caused both panic and wonder across the planet. Religious leaders claimed validation. Scientists demanded evidence. Military strategists feared a trap. But everyone agreed on one thing. Someone needed to respond. That someone would be Ju-woo. When the United Nations Space Command formed an emergency contact team, they placed her in charge of communications. Her specialty in cross-cultural linguistics made her the natural choice, though she had always expected to use her skills with human languages, not alien ones. "I've spent my life studying how different cultures communicate," she told the hastily assembled team. "But I never imagined my first conversation with aliens would determine humanity's fate." 2 days after the ship's arrival, Ju-woo and 5 other specialists boarded a shuttle bound for the vessel. The team included Tae-woo Han, a quantum physicist, Bomi Lee, a cultural anthropologist, Sun-woo Kang, a diplomat, Jae-hyun Cho, a biologist, and Min-ji Kim, a military officer who looked uncomfortable without her weapon, which the aliens had forbidden. As their shuttle approached the massive ship, Ju-woo pressed her hand against the window. The vessel's surface seemed both solid and fluid, with patterns of light flowing beneath a crystal-clear exterior. It defied human engineering principles completely. "It's beautiful," whispered Bomi beside her. "Or terrifying," countered Min-ji. A section of the ship's hull simply disappeared, revealing an entrance. The shuttle's pilot, who hadn't needed to steer as the ship had pulled them in with some invisible force, looked back at Ju-woo with wide eyes. "I guess that's our invitation," she said, trying to sound calmer than she felt. They docked inside a chamber that seemed to adjust its size to fit their shuttle perfectly. The air outside tested safe to breathe, though it carried a slight scent of ozone. When they stepped out, the floor beneath them glowed softly, creating a path forward. "They want us to follow," Ju-woo said. The corridor led them deeper into the ship, which seemed larger inside than its external dimensions should allow. The walls displayed moving images of Earth, its oceans, mountains, cities, and people going about their lives. After walking for several minutes, they entered a vast circular room where the walls showed the stars as if they were standing in space itself. In the center waited 3 tall, luminous beings. They appeared almost human in shape, but were composed of light that shifted and flowed within loosely defined boundaries. The tallest being stepped forward and spoke directly into their minds. "I am Tahoe. We are the Celestials. We have watched humanity for millennia." Ju-woo felt the others freeze beside her, but she forced herself to step forward. "I am Ju-woo Park of Earth. We are honored by your presence but confused by your message. What purpose do you mean to reveal to us?" Tahoe's form brightened slightly. "Your species is unique in ways you cannot yet understand. You emerged without our guidance, yet you carry a trait we have sought for eons." "What trait?" asked Tae-woo, the physicist. "The ability to bridge understanding between fundamentally different minds," Tahoe replied. "We Celestials have achieved what you might call godhood. We have mastered energy, matter, and much of time itself. But we cannot do what comes naturally to humans. And what is that? Ju asked. You can see yourselves in others, even when those others bear no resemblance to you. You create art to express what cannot be said. You use metaphor to understand the incomprehensible. These seemingly simple abilities are cosmic rarities. The beam gestured, and the star-filled walls changed to show various alien species, some resembling Earth creatures, others completely foreign to human understanding. The universe needs mediators, Tahoe continued. Species who can help others communicate across vast differences. This is your purpose. This is why we have come, to prepare you for your role in the cosmic community. The human delegation followed Tahoe through corridors that seemed to shift and change with each step. Light flowed around them like water, sometimes forming images of distant worlds and strange creatures. Ju tried to memorize everything she saw, but it was too much to process. Your minds are struggling to interpret what you see, Tahoe said, his thoughts appearing directly in their minds. We exist in more dimensions than you can perceive. They entered a vast chamber where two more celestials waited. Unlike Tahoe, who maintained a roughly humanoid shape, these beings shifted between geometric patterns and flowing ribbons of light. These are my colleagues, Tahoe explained. Hannah specializes in biological systems. Minjin studies cultural development. The being called Hannah approached Ju. As she drew near, Ju felt a strange tingling sensation, as if her entire body was being gently scanned. Fascinating. Hannah's voice chimed in Ju's mind. Your species achieves such complexity with simple carbon structures. Minjin floated toward the walls, which transformed to show scenes from human history, cave paintings, the building of pyramids, Greek philosophers in debate, the Renaissance, modern cities. We have watched your journey from simple tools to quantum computers, Minjin said. Your progress accelerates at an unusual rate. Tehu, the physicist, stepped forward with a question that had been bothering all of them. What exactly are you? Gods? Advanced aliens? Tahoe's form rippled in what might have been laughter. We were once like you, biological beings bound by physical laws. Over millions of years, we evolved beyond matter. We learned to exist as energy, information, and consciousness. Are there others like you? Asked Bomi, her anthropologist's curiosity overcoming her fear. Many, Hannah answered. The universe is ancient, and evolution follows similar patterns across galaxies. 17 species have reached our state of development. We form what you might call a council of elder races. And what do you do with this power? Minji asked, her military training making her suspicious of their intentions. We guide, Minjin replied. We observe. We help maintain balance between order and chaos across the cosmos. Tahoe gestured, and the chamber transformed around them. Suddenly, they stood in what appeared to be a live view of Earth from orbit, though they knew they remained inside the ship. Most intelligent species are guided in their evolution by one elder race or another, Tahoe explained. The Arcturians seed logical, orderly minds. The Pleiadians cultivate emotional intelligence. Each brings their strengths to the species they shepherd. But humans weren't guided. Ju asked. No, you emerged naturally in a region of space unclaimed by any elder race. By the time we discovered Earth, your evolution was well underway. We chose to observe rather than interfere. The view around them changed to show ancient humans making tools, creating art, building the first settlements. What we saw amazed us, Hannah continued. Without guidance, you developed both logic and emotion in equal measure. You create beautiful art while building precise machines. You wage terrible wars yet show profound compassion. Most species excel in one cosmic principle, Minjin added. Order or chaos. Creation or destruction. Preservation or transformation. Humans balance all these forces within each individual mind. Sunwoo, the diplomat, spoke for the first time since entering the ship. Is that good or bad? Tahoe's form brightened. It is precious. It gives you a unique ability to understand perspectives utterly different from your own. The chamber shifted again, showing 3 alien worlds orbiting a distant star. The planets were clearly at war, with energy weapons firing between them. These civilizations have been fighting for centuries, Taiho explained. The Vex are a hive mind that values collective efficiency above all. The Meridian are individually conscious, but physically connected to each other. The Cronus experience time non-linearly. They cannot comprehend each other's basic reality. Hannah said, "We Celestials, for all our power, cannot help them find peace. Their minds are too different from ours and from each other. But humans," Minjin added, "with your natural ability to imagine other perspectives, might succeed where we failed." Jumu felt the weight of what they were suggesting. "You want us to mediate between alien species." "Not just mediate," Taiho said. "We believe you are the bridge builders of the cosmos. Where fundamental differences make understanding impossible, humans can create connections." The 6 humans looked at each other, overwhelmed by the implications. Their species, so young and still struggling with its own divisions, was being asked to help solve conflicts between advanced alien civilizations. "Why tell us now?" Jae-hyun, the biologist, asked. "We've barely left our own solar system." "Because the universe faces growing discord," Taiho answered. "And because you are ready to learn your purpose. The time has come for humanity to join the cosmic community, not as our servants or students, but as essential partners in maintaining harmony across the stars." Taiho led the human delegation into the heart of the ship. The chamber they entered defied human understanding of space. It seemed both vast and intimate, as if they stood at the center of a galaxy yet could touch its farthest stars. "This is our memory hall," Taiho explained. "Here, we can show you truths that words cannot express." The walls around them dissolved into swirling patterns of light. Jumu felt a strange sensation, as if her mind was expanding beyond her body. Images began to form, not just before her eyes, but directly in her consciousness. She watched Earth form from cosmic dust. She saw the first single-celled organisms emerge in the primordial oceans. She witnessed the evolution of complex life, the rise and fall of dinosaurs, and finally, the emergence of early humans. "We have watched your world since its beginning," Hannah said, "but we were most fascinated by this moment." The scene shifted to show early humans huddled around a fire. A child was crying from a wound on its leg. Instead of abandoning the injured child as many animal species would, the group worked together. One person cleaned the wound, another created a poultice from plants, while others kept the fire burning and stood guard. "Empathy," Minjin said, "combined with problem-solving. This is rare." Next, they witnessed scenes throughout human history, both inspiring and terrible. They saw acts of tremendous cruelty, wars, slavery, genocide. But alongside these horrors were moments of incredible beauty. People risking their lives to save strangers, art that captured the deepest human emotions, scientific breakthroughs that came from collaborative thinking. "Most species choose a path," Taiho explained. "They become either warriors or healers, builders or destroyers, logical or emotional. Humans contain all these possibilities in each individual." Sunwoo, the diplomat, found his voice. "These contradictions have caused us great suffering throughout our history." "Yes," Hannah acknowledged, "but they have also given you your greatest strength." The images shifted to show various alien species. One resembled a crystalline forest where each tree was actually part of a single organism. Another looked like floating jellyfish that communicated through color changes. A third appeared as swarms of metallic insects that formed complex patterns. "These species cannot understand each other," Minjin explained. "Their basic perceptions of reality are too different, yet humans can learn to understand them all." "How?" asked Bomi. "We struggle to understand different human cultures, let alone alien ones." In response, the chamber showed human translators bridging language gaps, artists expressing universal emotions, scientists using metaphors to explain complex concepts, and diplomats finding common ground between opposing viewpoints. You naturally create bridges between different ways of thinking, Tahoe said. You use art when logic fails. You use logic when emotions cloud judgment. You create symbols and metaphors to express the inexpressible. The chamber then revealed something none of them expected. The Celestials themselves, in their original forms before they had evolved beyond physical bodies, they had once been tall, graceful beings with 4 arms and iridescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions. We were once called the Lumina, Hannah said. We achieved great technological advancement and eventually transcended our physical forms, but in doing so, we lost something. What did you lose? Jae-hyun asked. The ability to truly understand minds different from our own, Min-jin answered. We can observe other species, we can study them, but we cannot feel as they feel. The chamber returned to showing Earth, focusing on its diverse population going about their daily lives, loving, fighting, creating, destroying, helping, hurting, all in the span of a single day. Your secret mission, humanity's purpose in the cosmos, is to be what we cannot, Tahoe said. You are the mediators, the translators, the bridge builders between fundamentally different forms of intelligence. Jiwoo felt overwhelmed. But we're so young as a species. We've barely left our own planet. Which is why we have come now, Tahoe replied. You stand at a crucial moment in your development. You have the technology to reach beyond your world, but you have not yet lost your diversity of thought. You still remember what it means to be small and vulnerable, yet you dream of greatness. The chamber showed a future possibility, humans working alongside various alien species, creating art together, solving scientific problems, establishing peaceful relations where conflict once seemed inevitable. This is what you were born for, Hannah said. Not to conquer the stars, but to connect them. Minji, ever practical, asked the question they were all thinking. What exactly do you want us to do? We want you to help us restore peace to the 3 warring worlds we showed you, Minjin answered. Where we have failed, we believe you can succeed. Tahoe's form brightened. This will be your test and your introduction to the wider universe. If you succeed, your true work begins. The 6 humans looked at each other, the weight of an entire species' cosmic purpose suddenly resting on their shoulders. 3 months after the Celestials' revelation, Jiwoo stood on the observation deck of the human ship Harmony, watching as they approached the contested star system. The 3 warring planets hung in space before them, each beautiful in its own way, yet all scared by centuries of conflict. Are we ready for this? Minji asked, joining her at the window. The former military officer had been appointed security chief for the mission. No, Jiwoo admitted, but we have to try anyway. Their team had expanded beyond the original 6 who had first met the Celestials. Now 30 specialists prepared for humanity's first major diplomatic mission beyond their solar system. They had spent weeks studying everything the Celestials could tell them about the 3 species, but information alone wasn't enough. The Celestials have been watching these species for centuries without finding a solution. Taewoo reminded them during their final briefing. We need to approach this differently. Their ship entered orbit around the neutral moon that would serve as their base. The 3 species had agreed to meet with the humans, though they remained deeply suspicious of each other. The first meetings were nearly disastrous. The Vex arrived as a single entity, a flowing mass of interconnected insect-like creatures that functioned as one mind. They could not understand why humans would speak as individuals rather than presenting a unified message. You contradict each other, the Vex collective said. How can we trust beings who disagree with themselves? The Meridian were physically separate beings connected by invisible energy fields. They appeared almost human-like, except for the glowing lines that ran across their skin, connecting them to others of their kind. They could disconnect these links temporarily, but found the experience deeply uncomfortable. Your isolation is disturbing, their leader told Jiwoo. How can you bear to be so alone in your minds? But the Kronos proved most challenging. These tall, ethereal beings experienced time non-linearly. They remembered the future and anticipated the past. In meetings, they would respond to questions not yet asked and reference agreements not yet made. After 2 weeks of failed talks, Zhu called her team together. "We're approaching this wrong," she said. "We're trying to make them understand each other directly. That won't work. Instead, we need to create something new, a fourth perspective that all can relate to." Bomi, the anthropologist, nodded slowly. "Like a shared cultural experience." "Exactly," Zhu said. "These species can't understand each other's minds, but they might understand a story that captures elements of all their experiences." They began with art. Jaehyun worked with the team's composers to create music that incorporated elements meaningful to each species, mathematical patterns for the Vex, harmonies that resonated with the Meridian's energy fields, and temporal structures that the Kronos found familiar. When the music was played at the next gathering, all 3 species showed signs of interest. It was the first positive response they'd seen. Next came visual art. The human artists created installations that could be experienced differently depending on one's perception of time and space. The Kronos could see entire narratives at once, while the Vex appreciated the collective patterns, and the Meridian responded to the emotional resonances. Slowly, barriers began to fall. The humans created a new form of communication, not just a language, but a system that incorporated movement, mathematical symbols, color, and sound. Each species could access it through their own perceptual framework. "We're not translating between them," Zhu explained to her team. "We're creating a new common ground where they can meet as equals." The breakthrough came 4 months into the mission. Using their new communication system, the humans helped the 3 species identify a shared problem, a nearby stellar phenomenon that threatened all their worlds. Alone, none could solve it. Together, with their different perceptions of reality, they might. "The Vex can process the collective data patterns," Tehu explained. "The Meridian can sense energy fields we can't detect, and the Kronos can perceive temporal implications we would miss entirely." For the first time in centuries, representatives of the 3 species gathered without hostile intent. The humans facilitated, not by telling them what to do, but by helping them understand how their different perspectives created a more complete picture when combined. As the joint project progressed, something remarkable happened. The species began developing their own methods of communication, building on the foundation the humans had created. "They're adapting what we started," Bolny observed with wonder, "making it their own." 6 months into the mission, the 3 species successfully collaborated to create a shield system that would protect all their worlds from the stellar threat. It wasn't perfect peace. Centuries of conflict wouldn't disappear overnight, but it was a beginning. When Zhu reported back to the Celestials, Taho's form glowed with something that might have been pride. "You have accomplished in months what we could not in centuries," the Celestial said. "You have proven what we suspected. Humanity's place in the cosmos is not to rule or to serve, but to connect." 3 years had passed since humanity's first successful interspecies mediation. Zhu stood in the newly constructed Cosmic Dialogue Center on Earth's moon, watching delegates from 17 different species move through the Grand Hall. The building combined architectural elements from various worlds, creating spaces where beings of all types could feel comfortable. "I never imagined we'd come this far so quickly," Sunwoo said, joining her at the observation window. The former diplomat now served as Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. "Neither did the Celestials," Zhu replied. "That's why this matters so much." After the successful peace mission, humanity had been formally introduced to the wider galactic community. The Celestials had arranged meetings with dozens of species, some physical like humans, others existing as pure energy, or in states humans could barely comprehend. What surprised everyone was how quickly other species sought human assistance. Word had spread about the remarkable beings who could bridge understanding between different minds. Requests for human mediators poured in from across the galaxy. "Ambassador Juwu," a voice called. She turned to see Tahoe approaching, his luminous form dim to avoid overwhelming the human guests at the gathering. "The Arcturians and Pleiadians have arrived," he said. "They are eager to meet you." The two elder races had been skeptical of humanity's potential. They had guided countless species over millions of years and didn't believe such a young race could offer anything they hadn't seen before. Juwu followed Tahoe to a private meeting room. Inside waited beings of pure light, similar to the Celestials, but with subtle differences in their energy patterns. The Arcturians pulsed with geometric precision, while the Pleiadians flowed in organic waves. "We have observed your work," the Arcturian representative stated without preamble. "It defies our understanding. You bridge perspectives that should be incompatible," added the Pleiadian. "How do you achieve this?" Juwu considered her answer carefully. "We don't try to make different minds think alike. We look for what connects them despite their differences. But the Vex and Kronos have entirely different perceptions of reality," the Arcturian pointed out. "Connection should be impossible." "That's where you're wrong," Juwu smiled. "Different doesn't mean disconnected. Every species wants to survive, to understand, to matter. We start with those universal desires and build from there." The elder races seemed to communicate with each other through pulses of light. Finally, the Pleiadian spoke again. "We have guided species for millions of years, yet missed this simple truth. Perhaps we have grown too fixed in our thinking. That's why the universe needs humanity," Tahoe said. "Even the eldest races can become set in their ways." After the meeting, Juwu walked through the gardens outside the center. Earth glowed blue and green in the lunar sky above her. She thought about how quickly humanity had adapted to its new role in the cosmos. Universities now offered degrees in cinecultural studies. Children dreamed of becoming galactic mediators. Earth's long history of conflict and reconciliation had unintentionally prepared humans for their cosmic purpose. She found Tewu and Bomi sitting near the artificial lake, discussing plans for the new Interspecies Research Center. "The Meridian have offered to share their energy field technology," Tewu said excitedly. "Combined with what we've learned from the Kronos about temporal physics, we might develop entirely new forms of sustainable energy. And the Vex want to collaborate on collective problem-solving methods," Bomi added. "They're fascinated by how human groups can work together while maintaining individual perspectives." Juwu sat beside them, watching the Earth overhead. "Sometimes I still can't believe this is real." "Dr. Park," a young aide approached. "The Celestial Council requests your presence." In the grand chamber at the center's heart, Tahoe and the other Celestials waited. With them stood representatives from all 17 elder races, some appearing as physical beings, others as patterns of light or energy. "Juwu Park," Tahoe began, "we have made a decision. The elder races will create a new position on our council, liaison of perspectives. We ask humanity to fill this role." The room fell silent. This was unprecedented. A species as young as humanity being offered a place among those who had guided the galaxy for millions of years. "We are not perfect guides," Tahoe continued. "We have learned much from watching your species bridge divides we thought unbridgeable. The cosmos needs your unique perspective." Later that evening, as celebrations echoed through the dialogue center, Juwu found a quiet moment alone on the observation deck. The divine starship that had first appeared over Earth now served as humanity's embassy to the stars. Smaller human vessels moved between planets and star systems, carrying mediators, artists, scientists, and diplomats. "Did you know this would happen?" she asked, sensing Tahoe's presence behind her. "We hoped," the Celestial admitted, "but you have exceeded even our highest expectations." Juwu looked out at the stars, now filled with meaning and connection rather than empty distance. "We spent centuries looking up at the night sky, wondering if we were alone," she said softly. "We never imagined our true purpose would be making sure no one else in the universe needs to feel alone either."